Hi all, Namah Shivaya. Hope you all had a wonderful Arudra Darshanam last week. So it is one of the famous Shaivite festivals that is celebrated in the land of Chidambaram, where Chidambara Nataraja, he comes out and also the devotees get a chance to touch the Vigraham of the divine Vigraham of Chidambara Nataraja. It's a very beautiful day. So I thought of giving a short lecture on Chidambara Nataraja. So, and for people who are not aware, when I started my channel 4 years back and started uploading lectures to my YouTube channel, so one of the first beginning lectures that I gave was on Chidambara Nataraja, and that playlist is also available in my YouTube channel. If you go to the playlist icon, it's present. It's more than like a 3 hour plus lecture divided into two parts. So I would request everybody to take a look at that. It's more detailed and comprehensive in explaining the various the pastimes of Chidambara Nataraja, and also talking about a stuti about Chidambara Nataraja and the various devotees who surrendered to Chidambara Nataraja, Nayanmars, etc. So speaking of Chidambaram, so it is basically Chit plus Ambara. Chit is actually means consciousness. Ambara is actually the sky, or you can say Ambara means the dress. So Mahadeva is present as the personification of consciousness in Chidambaram. There is a beautiful verse in the Panchabrahma Upanishad. Pundarikam tu tanmadye akasho daharo sthitat sa shivaha sachidanandaha sonveshtavyo mumukshibhihi ayam hridi sthitaha sakshi sarvesham avisheshataha tenayam hridayam proktaha shivaha samsara mochakaha. So one should meditate on Mahadeva in the Hridayakasha. So the space in the heart, it's called as the Daharakasha or Hridayakasha, where we have to meditate on the supreme Brahman within the heart at the end of the day. That's where you see, these kind of references. Saya esho antar hridaya akashaha. Hridayakasha, Taittiriya Upanishad says that. Saya esho antar hridaya akashaha hiranmaya purushaha. One should meditate on that golden Purusha, golden divine Purusha, supreme Brahman in the middle of the heart, in the Hridayakasha. And we have the Harakasham also coming in the Kaivalya Upanishad. Dumasahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum Hritpundarikam Virajam Vishuddham. In the lotus heart, in the lotus of the heart, one should meditate on that supreme reality. So you have various Upanishads talking about that. Etad vidur amritaste bhavanti. Shvetashvatara Upanishad also talks about that, where Angushta Purushontaratma Sadajananam Kritaye Sannivishtaha, one who resides in the heart of all the living entities. Rudram says that. Devanagam Kritayebhyo. So that Chidambara Nataraja is eternally, like that blissful dance of Chidambara Nataraja can be seen in Chidambaram, and also it can be envisioned in the heart, in your heart at the end of the day. So we see various scriptures talking about that. So I'll just give a short lecture. So this story starts off with Vishnu. Vishnu is said to be meditating on Lord Shiva always, right? And he resides on the 1,000-headed snake called Adisesha. And one fine day, Adisesha will experience some heaviness, and he will say to Vishnu, "Oh Narayana, Shriman Narayana, Mahavishnu, you seem to be very heavy today. I'm not able to carry you." And to that Narayana will reply, "Oh Adisesha, I am seeing the Ananda Tandavam, that blissful dance, the blissful Nritya of Mahadeva." And to that Adisesha will respond, "I would also like to see, just like you are experiencing that blissful dance, you are experiencing eternal bliss by seeing the dance of Chidambara Nataraja in your heart. I would also like to envision that." And then to that Vishnu will respond to him, go to Chidambaram or Thillai. And then that's where Adisesha will take the form of Patanjali and go to Chidambaram to envision the dance of Nataraja. And also Vyagrapada, another famous great sage, also joined, Patanjali, who is none other than Adisesha. And Vyagrapada, is described as the father of Upamanyu Maharshi, who is another great devotee of Lord Shiva. I have also given a lecture series, a 36-part lecture series on Upamanyu, and that is also available in channel. Please check it out, which is available in Mahabharatam and Shiva Mahapuranam, etc. So Vyagra Pada, Vyagra means tiger, Pada means the feet. So he had like tiger-like feet at the end of the day. The reason is that, he had gone there, of course, he had gone there to Chidambaram, but he wanted to worship Lord Shiva with beautiful flowers, and he wanted to get those flowers from the forest nearby. And the forest was full of thorns, and he couldn't do anything, and then he prayed intensely to Mahadeva. Oh Mahadeva, I want to get flowers for you and offer it with bhakti and do puja to you. And then he will pray intensely to Lord Shiva, and then Mahadeva will offer him tiger-like claws, tiger-like feet at the end of the day. And with that, he was named as Vyagrapada. So this is actually an example of devotion, we also try to get a flower and offer it to, make an offering to our girlfriend or boyfriend, husband or wife, etc. But, here, we see the intensity or intention of Vyagrapada to offer flowers to the Supreme Lord, which goes back to the verse Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati, which comes in the Ishvara Gita, which also comes in the Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter 26th verse, which is also the words of Lord Shiva, on which I have given a detailed 14-part lecture in my playlist. It's also available. I have covered this part also in my first book, if people know about it. So this is that, where we see that intensity, and, Pushpam Phalam Toyam. And Toyam is that water, people think that, it's like just watering a tumbler of water to Mahadeva, but that real water is the tears that you offer to Lord Shiva. By hearing that Shiva Katha, the tears that comes out of your eyes, that is that offering, that is that water that he is expecting, that is that bhakti, the tears that drops out of your eyes, out of, engaging in Shiva Bhakti and hearing Shiva Katha, that is that offering that Mahadeva expects, And here also that flower, where he offers, and then he successfully goes to the forest and gets all the flowers to offer it to Lord Shiva. So he joins, both of them join together, Patanjali and Vyagrapada, and many other sages join, So that's how, the story goes, and this story is profusely stated in the Chidambara Puranam. Chidambara, it is called as the Sthala Puranas. There is Puranas, Upapuranas, and also there is Sthala Puranas. So every Sthalam is glorified. Now, for example, if you see the Arunachala Mahatmyam is present in the Skanda Purana itself, Maheshwara Kanda. So, but there are, exclusively something called Sthala Puranas, where each Sthalam, each place of Mahadeva is glorified to a greater extent. Amarnath Mahatmyam is also present in a separate Purana. So likewise, there is the Chidambara Sthala Purana, which talks about this detailed story, this story in a very profusive manner. So moving on, the form of Chidambara Nataraja is very, very unique when compared to all other forms of Lord Shiva. Why? Because that form itself defines that he is actually the doer of 5 activities. The fact that he is the doer of 5 activities is emphasized in that form of Chidambara Nataraja. You usually see, creation, maintenance and destruction. Sometimes, mostly you see that Brahma doing creation, maintenance and destruction. Mostly this creation, maintenance and destruction activities are attributed to Narayana in the Puranas. Max, you see these 3 activities only attributed to Brahma or Hari or anybody, even Amba or Lakshmi or Ganapati or anybody, etc., Kartikeya, etc. But the only being where, you see who is described as the doer of 5 activities is only Mahadeva. All over the scriptures, and that fact that, he is the doer of 5 activities is emphasized or showcased in the form of Chidambara Nataraja. That's the beauty of the form of Nataraja, and we'll be getting into that. So with the right upper hand, you see he has the Damaru. So with that he creates. He is the creator of all creators. Brahma is called as the primary creator, or Brahma is called as the secondary creator, or even Narayana sometimes, is called as the secondary creator or the creator of Brahma. But, Mahadeva is the creator of all creators. He is the creator of even Brahma, Narayana and Indra, etc. Crores and crores of Brahmas and crores of Narayanas are created by Samba Shiva, Chandrasekhara. And you see this reference, Trinetram Trigunadaram Trayanam Janakam Prabhum Smaran Namah Shiva Yeti Lalate Tat Tripundrakam. So the story of where, Narayana originating from the left limb of Mahadeva and Rudra originating from the heart of Lord Shiva, that is Kala Rudra. And you have Brahma originating from the right limb of Lord Shiva is present in all over the scriptures. There are many references stating this, Vamahastan Mahabhago Devo Narayanak Swayam. So from the left limb originates Narayana, and then from the right limb, Dakshinange Srijat Putrak Brahmanam Vamato Harim Prishtadeshe Maheshanam Treen Putrana Srijat Vibhuhu. If I remember that verse exactly, it comes in the Padma Purana Patala Kanda, 108th chapter if I'm not wrong, 6th verse. So that's where, and you find these references almost, in Brahmanda Puranam, Kurma Puranam, Matsya Puranam, etc., I've also made a video on that, mentioning that. So Mahadeva is the creator of all creators. You find this topic of creation where, Brahma, Narayana and Kala Rudra originating from Samba Shiva. And there are other kinds of creation where Uma and Maheshwara unite, and then Vishnu is created, and then from Vishnu comes Brahma. So those kind of creations are also there. Now, Kala Rudra coming from the forehead of Brahma or forehead of Narayana, it is a secondary creation. It is just the Rudra aspect of the Supreme Maheshwara comes out of the forehead of Narayana and Brahma at times. That too to favor them in the creation and maintenance. And Kala Rudra is a partial manifestation of Paramashiva. He is not the complete manifestation. He is a partial manifestation. He abides by the orders of Lord Shiva, Maheshwara, who is beyond the trio. So Mahadeva is the creator of all the creators. That's what to that point I wanted to make, where with the right upper hand he has the Damaru, with that he creates. And then with the right lower hand he actually blesses. He provides this Abhaya Mudra. So Abhayam, you don't need to fear when I'm here. So Mahadeva is the protector of all protectors. He also protects even the protector of the universe, that is Narayana. Lokapalatvam. Mahadeva, Vishnu is described as Lokapalatvam in the Varaha Puranam 213th chapter. But that Lokapalatvam, which means that position of that Lokapalaka, can also be granted by Maheshwara. So that topic comes, when he interacts with Nandi in the Varaha Puranam 213th chapter. Brahmatvam, Lokapalatvam, Shakaratvam. And we also see, various examples where, in case of Tarakasura, made even Brahma and Hari to tremble. And finally, Mahadeva, through his energy, through the energy of Mahadeva and Parvati Mata, Kartikeya appears and then he kills Tarakasura. And we have the example of various demons creating havoc for both Brahma and Hari. And finally, even Tripurasuras were killed by Lord Shiva. And the greatest example is the Hala Hala poison, which created a havoc. Even Vaikuntham was destroyed. Vaikuntham cha dadahavai. which is present in the Skanda Purana, Maheshwara Kanda, Kedara Kanda, 9th and the 10th chapters deal with this. Like literally Vaikuntham was burning in flames because of the Kalakuta poison. And this topic is covered in various places. It's not just Skanda Purana. You see, like in the Matsya Purana, 250th chapter, Brahmanda Purana, Anushangapada, 25th chapter, Vayu Purana, 1st canto, 54th chapter. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 7th chapter, this topic is covered of Mahadeva drinking the ocean of poison, Kalakuta poison, and saving everybody, including Brahma and Hari. And there are beautiful 15 verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam that glorify Lord Shiva as the ultimate of the ultimate of the ultimates. So he's the ultimate protector at the end of the day. Abhayam. This reminds me of another verse where Vishnu describes Lord Shiva as, Shuddhaspatika Sankasham Trinetram Vibhujam Shivam Varadam Dakshino Haste Vamecha Abhayadam Vibhum. He is the Abhaya. He attributes that fearlessness to his devotees. Drishnavecha Brahmrshayacha. He is always on the side of his devotees and no one can do anything to his devotees or him. So he is the ultimate protector at the end of the day. So that is what the right lower hand, if you see in the Nataraja Vigraha, that is what it signifies. The right upper hand is actually the Damuru that represents creation. So we saw creation and maintenance. Now destruction. The left upper hand, he has the Agni or the fire. With that he destroys the entire universe. And even, like Brahma and Hari are destroyed at the end of the day. Final, like in the final stage of destruction. So to this point, like the Panchabrahma Upanishad states, Panchakrityani Yantaram Panchabrahmatmakam Brihat. So this Upanishad, by the way, also states that he is the doer of Panchakritya. Right? So wonderful. So the doer of 5 activities. Panchakrityani Yantaram Panchabrahmatmakam Brihat Panchabrahmopasamharam Kritva Svatmani Samstitaha. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Even after, like destroying everything, he still resides, Kritva Svatmani Samstitaha. He alone resides at the end of the day. He alone is that supreme reality who is not bound by destruction, who is described as Aja, and who is Avyaya, Anantam Avyayam Kavigum. The all-knowing. Kavigam means all-knowing. Avyayam means imperishable. We are all Vyaya. He is Avyaya. He is imperishable. And eternal. Nitya. Like we are all Anitya. So that is actually, like where he alone remains. Even after Brahma, Hari and Kala Rudra, Indra are destroyed. To that point only, you have the Atharvashika saying, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudrendraste. All 4 are not worthy to be meditated upon. Brahma, Vishnu, Kala Rudra and Indra. And finally it says, Shiva Ekodhyayaha. That Shiva who is beyond the trio. The Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra, beyond the trio. Trio is that Brahma, Kala Rudra and Vishnu. The creator, maintainer and destroyer. So beyond the trio, that Mahadeva, Shiva Ekodhyayaha, is alone worthy to be meditated upon because he is beyond birth and death and he is beyond the 3 modes of material nature. He is beyond Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, and he is beyond he is beyond everything at the end of the day. He is the supreme Lord, Swarat. He is the supreme independent Lord. Even Samavedam uses the word Swarat for Lord Shiva. Mahanarayana Upanishad uses the word Swarat. So Indra Soksharak Paramak Swarat. He is that supreme independent reality. And there is no one equal to him. There is no one greater than him. That's what it signifies. And that's why to that, like 27th verse of Mahadeva in the Shiva Sahasranama says, Smashanavasi. Smashanavasi doesn't mean that one who resides in the crematorium ground. No, that is an idiotic way of, people try to misinterpret and people try to say this to insult Mahadeva, but that's not the actual definition of Smashanavasi. When everything is destroyed, right, Mahadeva alone remains. Everything is everything, literally, all the entire universe, including the Jivatmas and the Brahma and Hari and all the Devatas and all the Asuras and everything, becomes ashes at the end of the day. And at that time, Lord Shiva alone resides and then he starts the creation again. Right? So at that time, Shiva alone resides, and everything is Smashana. So that Mahadeva is called as Smashanavasi because he alone resides at the end of the day. He alone is eternal and he is Nitya. Even after everything is destroyed, even including the Devatas and Asuras and all the Jivatmas are destroyed, he alone remains. And that's why he's called as Smashana Vasi. In that center of, after everything has become Smashana, after everything has turned into ashes, he still remains. So that's why he's called as Smashana Vasi, the 27th name of Lord Shiva in the Shiva Sahasranama recited by Upamanyu Maharshi to Krishna. So that's about the third activity. And the Tirobhavam and Anugraham is something, like that not a lot of people would have heard about, right? Tirobhavam is actually putting the jivas into illusion. Or I would not say illusion. Basically, it's like, like you see the reference of Maya present in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, 4th chapter, 10th verse. Mayam tu prakritim vidyam, mayinam tu maheshwaram. The Maya Shakti of Lord Shiva. So as per Shaivism, if I have to describe what is that Maya Shakti, something that is not eternal. Let me give you, a real life example. As a man is going on the road and then he looks at a very beautiful, attractive woman. And that moment itself he falls for her. Or a woman getting attracted to a man, you can also keep that way. And then, he successfully, proposes to her and gets married to her. But the beauty that he saw, external beauty that he saw, and to which he fell for, doesn't long last. So, a person who looks, who looks very beautiful at the age of 20 doesn't look the same at the age of 60 or 50, right? It's not eternal. So you've fallen for something that is temporary. It's not eternal at the end of the day. Right? You've succeeded at the end of the day. What you wanted to achieve, you've succeeded. You got married and you're leading a very happy life, with kids and everything. But you've fallen for something that is temporary. It is not eternal. That external body is going to become one tumbler of ash one day. Vayur anilam amritam atedam bhasmantagam shariram. 17th verse of the Isha Upanishad. And also this comes in the Prikadaranyaka. So that's not eternal. That's just temporary. So that is actually that Maya Shakti of Lord Shiva, which makes you think, which makes you forget Lord Shiva. And things, everything apart from Mahadeva is actually eternal. So which makes you fall for that. So we have examples of even Brahma and Hari falling for, temporary things. And they themselves also are temporary. So obviously they aspire for temporary things at the end of the day. And also we have the Asuras and all the Devatas, etc. Right? So this is, that kind of an example. So that's why, with that only I named my first book, Lord Shiva, the only object of desire. If you have to desire for something in the entire universe, it's only Mahadeva. Everything else is temporary. You might desire for something, you might also acquire that. But, be it a position, you become the CEO of the company. But, that's not an eternal thing. Okay, there is nothing wrong. You can still do that and engage in service to Lord Shiva. But, when you take that to your head, that becomes a problem, right? So, whatever you aspire for, everything, it's temporary. At the time of your death, everything goes away. But the only being that you can aspire for, that is eternal, imperishable, avyayam, is only Lord Shiva. So that is the only thing, and that is a pathway to moksha. That is a pathway to get rid of this repeated cycles of birth and death. Bhave bhave nati bhave bhavaswamam. Sadhyojata mantram in the Mahanarayana Upanishad says. It's only to Lord Shiva in the Vedas that we beg for moksha. That's also quite interesting. The Triambaka mantram comes and also the Sadhyojata mantra where we say, don't put me into the repeated cycles of birth and death. I don't want to. I don't want to take birth in a mother's womb again, O Mahadeva. So that's the request. That request is made only to Lord Shiva. Because he alone can grant moksha, right? Only a being who is beyond birth and death can liberate the jivatmas from the repeated cycles of birth and death. Not someone who keeps taking repeated births and who is bound at the end of the day, and who is bound by Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, who is bound by Kama Krodha Lobha Moha Mada Matsarya, etc. And Shiva alone is beyond all this. So that's Tirobhavam, and Tirobhavam is actually that in the posture of Chidambara Nataraja, you see Mahadeva, his right leg, he is placing the right leg on an asura named Apasmar. Apasmar represents ignorance, complete ahankara, the embodiment of ego. If I have to say, he is the representation of ego at the end of the day. And that, ahankar, Mahadeva is usually referred to as Darpahara. He is the destroyer of ego. He alone, Aditya Varnam Tamasak Parastat. By meditating on Shiva's form alone, one goes beyond tamas. He is not bound by tamas. By meditating on him, we also go beyond tamas. He alone is beyond the three modes of material nature, sattva, rajas, tamas. So that's what it means at the end of the day. Where, like the right leg he is placing, that is ahankar or the ego, is actually under his control at the end of the day. And the Maya Shakti, as I explained before, it's not just like what the Mayavadis say, that, everything is false, for them everything is false. The Jivatmas are false, God with a form is false, and also the Jagat is false. Even finally they say, from the Paramarthika Satyam, even the Vedas are also false. So that doesn't even make sense, first of all. That will not make sense at the end of the day. Nirvisheshadvaitam is not the right philosophy at the end of the day. So you see that this is the real representation. It's actually something that is there, it's real, but it is temporary. Just like you see the things in this world is something like you go to a place and it looks so attractive, you take some pictures, but that is temporary. It's not like Mahakailasha, which is eternal, right? Mahakailasha doesn't have destruction, which is the highest of the highest of the highest spiritual worlds. Mahakailasha Nilaya. Mahadevi or Parashakti is described as Mahakailasha Nilaya, the one who resides in the world of Mahakailasha along with Mahadeva. So that's the thing, it's actually something that is, real, but actually temporary. So there is no point in aspiring just for temporary things. The only permanent thing in this world at the end of the day is Lord Shiva. Adhavantecha madhyecha bhasase nanya hetuna mayaya mohitaha shambhor mahadevam jagadgurum. Na jananti suraha sarve sarva karana karanam. Because of the Tirobhava or because of that Maya Shakti of Mahadeva, even the Devatas cannot understand him. Na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya paratparam purusham vishwadhama. He is described as the Paratpara Purusha, the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. And Purusho vai Rudraha, the supreme. Purusha is an epithet that is used for the supreme reality in the Vedas. Purusha Suktam, which comes in all the 5 Vedas. Krishna Yajurvedam, Shukla Yajurvedam, Atharvana Vedam, Sama Vedam and Rig Vedam. Considering, the Yajurveda splitting into 2 as Shukla and Krishna, there are 5 Vedas. But we usually say it's 4 Vedas, Chadurveda. So that's about it. That's about the Tirobhavam aspect. And the Moksham, final Moksham aspect is quite interesting. It's the left lower hand and the left leg of Lord Shiva signifies Moksha. How? Because with that left, if you see the actual Vigraham, a perfect Vigraham of Chidambara Nataraja, this is where we can identify the perfect Vigraham of, Chidambara Nataraja. The tip of the, like a forefinger in the left lower hand of Lord Shiva should be actually in line with the tip of the toenail of the left leg of Mahadeva. So this should be actually in one, completely perpendicular at the end of the day. And this is where you can identify, okay, then if it is a perfect Vigraham of Chidambara Nataraja or not. Because, even I have a Vigraham, but, it's not in line at the end of the day. But if you go to Chidambaram and try to have darshan of Nataraja, then you will see that, it's completely in line. In that way, you can try to identify, whether it is a perfect Vigraham of Nataraja. So, which signifies basically, with that left lower hand, he says, "Oh child, oh Jivatma, please catch hold of my Kunchita Pada. Please catch hold of my left lotus feet that I am lifting at the end of the day, So please catch hold of that. and moksham is guaranteed for you. So that is very, very special, usually, people take blessings of that, the lifting left leg of Maheshwara at the end of the day. Very beautiful. And that's the final, the fifth is actually that signifies liberation, where the lower left hand and the left leg signifies liberation. And that liberation only can be granted by Mahadeva, right? And I've dealt with this, multiple times, where, we saw also the mantras related to, Trembakam Yajamahe, that mantra which is present in the Veda, which, where we request Mahadeva to actually take away from, take us away from Mrityu, I don't want to keep taking repeated, I don't want to keep taking repeated cycles of births and deaths. Just get rid of me completely from this repeated cycles of birth and death. That's what we request for. Mrityor Mukshiya. Mamritat. Let me not stay away from immortality. And Utamritatvasyeeshanaha. That also reference comes where, Ishana or Shiva is actually that representation of immortality. And we see Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave Bhavaswamam Sadhyojata Mantram. Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave. Don't put me into the repeated cycles of birth and death. That's what we request from Mahadeva. And we see Krishna also saying, Mahadevam Vinayomam Bhajate Shraddhaya Saha Nasti Tasya Vinirmokshaha Samsara Janma Kotibhihi. This I have dealt multiple times in my lectures, very important point made by Krishna to his dear devotee Satyasandha, which comes in the Sutta Samhita Yajñavaibhava Kanda, Purva Bhaga, 25th chapter, 52nd verse. Discarding Maheshwara, if anyone worships me with unflinching faith, one can never get moksham even in crores and crores of lifetimes. Discarding Maheshwara. See, even if someone worships with Shraddha, complete faith, someone worships Narayana or Krishna with complete faith, discarding Maheshwara, that Jivatma is not granted moksha even in crores and crores of lifetimes. And finally, he ends by saying, Shivad anyam parityajya shivam sambham sadabhaja. Excluding Maheshwara, anyam parityajya, which is what is told in the Atharvashika. Completely in line, right? If you read I'll tell you, if you start decoding everything and trying to start aligning that to the Vedic hymns that are related to Mahadeva, it's so very beautiful. You will easily come to the conclusion that Shiva is the ultimate. It's not rocket science to understand that. But we need to have the curiosity to know more about Mahadeva. That is what is the real thing at the end of the day. In this world where Mahadeva is described in a very, very evil people, describe him in a very, very offending way. And, it's not something that is surprising also, which is what I have stated in the epilogue of my first book. I would have quoted the references from Kurma Purana and Sutta Samhita that, the Kali Yugam is full of Shiva Dvesham at the end of the day. So we Shiva Bhaktas have to be very, very careful and not hear any kind of Shiva Dvesham. So we have Vishnu ready to even chop off his own head for hearing something bad about Mahadeva. That reference also comes in the Padma Purana, Patala Kanda, 114th chapter. Kimartam nindase devi devadevam jagatpatim. And then tatrano maranam vratam. Wherever, if I have to get into the details of, what really happens about the background about this story, it will be, a half an hour lecture. So I don't want to get into the details. But, overall, what he says is, tatrano maranam, wherever the insult of Lord Shiva is heard, that moment itself we have decided to take away our own lives. And with that he will, almost he will be about to cut his own head, and then Mahadeva will stop him. So this comes in that, Padma Purana, Patala Kanda, 114th chapter, and Narada Puranam Purva Bhagam, 179th chapter, sorry. And we have Sati Mata also, for hearing something bad about Mahadeva, she actually plans to suicide. So we should not hear, we have to either, give fitting replies from the scriptures at the end of the day to prove that Mahadeva alone is the supreme reality, or leave that place right away. That moment itself, plan to leave that place. That's what we devotees have to do. So it's very, in a subtle way you see the glorifications of Lord Shiva. So Shiva Danyam Parityajya Shivam Sambham Sadabhaja. Excluding Maheshwara, just ignore everything apart from Lord Shiva. And then Shivam Sambam Sadabhaja. Chant the names of Mahadeva continuously. Shiva Shambhu Shankara Isha Mahadeva Rudra. Shiva Shambhu Shankara Isha Mahadeva Rudra. Shiva Shambhu Shankara Isha Mahadeva Rudra. Right? So why these 6 specific names? These 6 names come in the Atharvashika. Very confidential, very very beautiful names of Lord Shiva that comes in the Atharvashika. And also we have the Shiva Shambhu Shankara, which comes in the center of Rudram. Right? Namah Shambhave cha Mayo Bhave cha Namah Shamkaraya cha Mayaskaraya cha Namah Shivaya cha Shivataraya cha Shiva Shambhu Shankara. So that comes, so keep chanting the names of Mahadeva eternally. That's what Krishna says. And there is another reference, here he says to Satyasandha, and Krishna in another place in the Kurma Purana, 1st canto, 26th chapter, 105th verse, Krishna says to Markandeya, he says, Shankaraya, Maheshaya, Girishaya, Shivaya cha, Namaskurushva Satatam, Dhyayasva cha Maheshwaram, Samsara Sagarad Asmad, Achirad Duddharishyati. Just Namaskurushva, just prostrate to Maheshwara alone, discarding everybody. And also meditate on Dhyayasvacha Maheshwaram, which relates to Shiva Eko Dhyayaha Shivam Karaha Sarvamanyat Parityajya Samastha Atharvashikaita Amaditya Dvijo Garbhavasad Vimukto Vimuchyata. Right? That is told in the Atharvashika. So Namaskurushva Satatam Dhyayasvacha Maheshwaram, the 105th verse of the 26th chapter, 1st canto, Kurma Mahapurana. So Krishna says to Markandeya, just prostrate to Maheshwara, just meditate on Maheshwara alone. Because samsara, why? Samsara sagara dasmat achira duddharishyati. He alone can liberate the jivatmas from the repeated cycles of birth and death. So with this I would like to close, I thought of just making a 15-minute video, but it went for some 35 minutes. I apologize for that. So and I'll be uploading some more lectures at the end of the day. Sorry for the delay. So with that said, thank you. So, I would also like to conclude by saying, that form, as I said in the beginning of Nataraja, that signifies the 5 activities of Lord Shiva. So that's why it's so very special. It's close to the hearts of, various devotees like the Nayanmars, etc. All the Nayanmars have come and glorified Mahadeva, glorified that divine form of Chidambara Nataraja. We have Nandanar attaining Moksha in that place of Chidambaram. Wonderful place, actually. Just like Kashi, you will get divine vibrations if you go there, and you will can have the darshan of the blissful Tandava Nritya. And that too, if you go during that Arudra Darshanam day, Mahadeva is, he is taken out, where he comes out, and then, you can also touch the Vigraham of Chidambara Nataraja. And there, Govindaraja, Narayana, the greatest of all Jivatmas, meditates on Chidambara Nataraja eternally in his heart. So, that's the thing. And this form is also very close, to the hearts of all the devotees. Of course, no comparisons made between the various forms, like the Panchabrahma form of Lord Shiva, Lingodbhava form of Mahadeva, or Ardhanarishwara form, Kalyana Sundaramurti, Sundareshwara. Everything is divine, but this, has a special significance where it describes, the 5 activities, doer of 5 activities, and also he is beyond that. And also he is the only one and only one. So, the supreme reality. Thank you all. Namah Shivaya. Shiva Shiva.